Hi, this is Raj from Sportscars. In this video I'm going to compare two 991 series cars that wouldn't typically be compared, which is the 991 Series 1 Turbo S, 991 Series 1 Carrera S. Huge difference in price, performance, and I'll go through those bits. But what I wanted to actually demonstrate in this video is that even though there is such a vast difference between these two, there's a lot of similarities in how they've been put together, how they feel, and also one isn't necessarily better than the other. They're very different in how they drive. And if you're new to Porsches and if you're buying your first 911, you might be asking yourself, well, why do I need to spend this much money on a Turbo S? Does that make something like a Carrera S inferior? And the answer is no, but I'm going to go through why that is the case, not only in physical terms and comparing them side by side like they are here, but also I'll go for a quick drive in both in this video as well. So first of all, I'll start out by saying that basically the bodies are extremely similar, but the Carrera S is the normal four-wheel drive 911s like this one here. The Carrera S is rear-wheel drive. It's the slightly narrower body, so it has 4.4 centimetre narrower body at the back, so 2.2 centimeters narrower than on the Turbo. The Turbo S has slightly higher hips as well, which was introduced on these 991 series cars when they came out to make them a bit more aggressive in their aerodynamics. And it's the same with the spoilers. So this car has a huge amount of technology, including active aero. It has active anti-roll bars in the system called PDCC. It has rear wheel steering, and obviously it has the twin turbocharged 3.8 litre flat six. This has a 3.8 litre flat six without the turbos. This has 400 horsepower. This has 560. This will do 60 in around 3 seconds, just under. This will do 60 in around 4 seconds. So about a second difference and 160 horsepower's difference between these two cars. But that's not really why people buy one over the other. The 911 Turbo sort of has its standalone image of being sort of like the flagship Porsche 911 for the road. The GT3s, GT2s are more track orientated. This is a fantastic sort of European sort of like cross-country long distance cruiser, as well as being effective on the track and on the road. The Carrera S has also got those same characteristics. It's great on the road. It can also do track driving as well, but it's really suited towards sort of like GT style driving and also Sunday morning blasts on your favorite B road. You could get the same colors for both. So this is sapphire blue metallic. This is pure white. You could also get things like the sunroof, the panoramic sunroof, or the metal sunroof. This has got the panoramic. This has got neither of those. It's just got the normal coupe roof. As I said, they are both coupes, and they have the same wheelbase, same size wheels in terms of their diameter, but the width is slightly different, and I'll go through that in the spec sheets that are on the website. In terms of options, the Turbo S came with pretty much everything thrown in, but you could still add some extra little bits. Like this one has Burmester, which is the optional sound system, just over 800 watts, whereas this has Sound Package Plus, which is 235 watts. You get an extra speaker in this one, which is hidden in the dash. You also got two-tone interior. You could get the carbon interior as well. They all came with a PDK box, sat-nav thrown in. This has got heated and cooled seats, but I think most have just heated seats. As I said, it has PDCC, which is that active anti-roll bars, has Sport Plus because it's got the Sport Chrono, has the Sport Design steering wheel, which was optional, has voice control as well. It has a huge number of extras on the sat-nav system, the PCM system, because this car was really spec'd up. But what I'm going to say actually is that this car, although it has a lot of options, many of them you could spec on the, and there you go, it's got that lovely Turbo S insignia come up. It has the TV, there. It has a 6 CD changer as well, so it has 6 slots there rather than 1. And the active aero is there as well, as I said. Special turbo dial there in the middle to remind you exactly where you are, and those lovely two-tone interior with the black sport seats plus, well, it's got black leather with red stitching backs on the sport seats plus, which are a full 18-way seat. Sport design steering, sport design mirrors, which again could be spec'd on a 991 Carrera S, 4S. GTSs tend to have them more as well. But on the inside here, you've got other options like multi-function steering wheel, same gearbox. You haven't got sport chrono, but it could be spec'd. You could have PDCC. This could be spec'd. The TV tuner, the 6 CD could all be spec'd on this car as well. Even the two-tone leather, the carbon, everything. So there's a Carrera S on this one instead. All of those bits could be spec'd on this one as well. You could have different coloured dials if you want, but as standard it came with a silvery grey with the blacks. Different suspension button there, because this one has something called Sport PASM, not just PASM but Sport PASM. So this sits 10mm lower than a car with the PASM, and as I said, the wheels are the 20mm, but they have different brakes. So this one has the steel brake setup with guards red calipers. This one has the carbon ceramics with the bright yellow, speed yellow I believe it is, Porsche ceramic composite brakes and centre locking hubs. But that's brake setup could be spec'd on a Carrera or Carrera S as well. You could get the sport design mirrors as well. The spoiler on this only comes up at the back. On here you get the rear spoiler comes up, and the active aero at the front as well. So this apron here folds down. This has got LED lights which weren't available on the Carrera S I believe, but you could have PDLS lights like this one has, which rotates bi-xenons, whereas these are LEDs. So I mean, just looking at them, looking at the shape, you can see a lot of similarities in how they're put together, how they're constructed. And it's the same on the interiors, so, and then the front boots as well. They share a lot of components, so you do definitely get a feel that they're based on the same platform, because they are. I'm not sure what the exact statistic is, but it must be around 80% of the parts are the same. This one also has keyless entry and keyless go, so you just turn a fob dashboard with the key in the car. They even have the same keys, just obviously these two are in different colours. Tyre pressure monitoring was available on both, and they are actually on both. So even now you can see that even though there is a big price difference between these two particular examples, there's over a £40,000 difference between what they are. I mean, there is a mileage difference, so this has got just over 23,000 miles. This has got 73, and that's 2 years older than this one. So that does play a part, but there is still a big difference in price between these two cars and in values, because they are very different. This is a lot more complex car, this turbo, compared to the Carrera S, and there are advantages and disadvantages. Obviously with that higher amount of power on tap, the turbocharged delivery can be a bit more adrenaline inducing than with the Carrera S, but the Carrera S is no slouch, and to get the performance out of this you have to work a bit harder, but it is sensational to drive on UK roads or any other roads around the world. So now I'm going to jump in both. Let me actually just run through some of the statistical differences. So I've got the PDFs here of both cars, so let me load those up. So we'll start with the Carrera S, two-wheel drive, length 4491, let's look that up in the turbo, length 4506, so slightly longer. Let's look at the size of the wheels, so 9-inch wide at the front, 11.5 at the back, 8.5 and 11, so there's There's 1/2 inch width additional on the turbo wheels. As I said, they're both 3.8 litre flat sixes, 552 horsepower actually, not 560, and 400, so 150 horsepower difference, 2.9 seconds to 60, top speed 198, 4.2 to 60, and a top speed of 188. So yeah, big difference in that headline performance. And the weight is 1490 for the Carrera S, 1680. So it's got an extra 200 kilos in the Turbo S, but it more than makes up for that in the sort of extra 150 horsepower. But they look absolutely sensational together, and in isolation they're both fantastic cars. I'm going to drive both now and we'll go from there. Okay, I'm heading out in the 991 Carrera S first, one with 73,000 miles. Still feels absolutely amazing behind the wheel. Mileage doesn't really affect it as long as you keep up with the maintenance, as I say in a lot of videos. But this car is very well looked after, very well maintained, and feels, in isolation, feels a very special place to be. This car has a special option, the Sport PASM, so it sits 10mm lower than a car with PASM. It has thicker anti-roll bars, so a bit like PDCC in that Turbo S, it handles phenomenally over bumps, hardly any roll whatsoever, feels very planted. And actually the thing I love about the whole 991 range is they just feel so natural behind the wheel. The steering has got a nice weight to it. It was the first era with the electromechanical steering, but you don't feel like it's too light or there's no feel through the column. These cars are absolutely fantastic on winding B roads as well as on a longer GT style drive, and you really do feel like it's working underneath you, working with you, and that's the whole premise of this video is that it doesn't matter which 911 you buy, they are all great. It's not like you're getting an inferior product whatsoever. It's polished and makes you feel special behind the wheel as soon as you turn the key. In fact, as soon as you walk up to the car, it looks lovely, and then you start driving it and you realise just how special a 911 is and why people are drawn to the 911 and Porsche, because they are just fantastic to own and drive. Now this car has the 400 horsepower, 3.8 flat six, more than enough power for UK roads, non-track driving. The balance is perfect. Rear wheel drive, even without the four-wheel drive system, you've got big, on this car I think it's 11 inch wide wheels, 305 section tyres, so you've got plenty of natural rubber grip to keep you on the road, and it's very difficult to sort of catch the car out even when trying to apply that full 400 horsepower. Now the one thing that will be a big benefit on getting a normally aspirated car is the sounds. The sounds, you get more of the vocal noise through the exhaust because it's not muted by turbos strapped in halfway along them. So you do hear more of the engine note rather than the exhaust. That's not to say that the turbo sounds bad. It's just got a different tone to it. It's still got a lot of theatre, but this has got the beautiful sound at the higher revs as well, which the turbo doesn't, in all honesty. It does spit and cackle and things like that on overrun. You hear the turbo boost build and everything else, but this car, you can drive more close to what it's capable of on the road, obviously, and also you can potentially hear more of it, and that's part of the enjoyment of these cars is the sound, as well as how they feel behind the wheel, and how fast you go down the road or how well they handle is also the sound of them as well. And this car has got a beautiful sound to it. Now, it's got very different options, as I pointed out when we were walking around with the camera. It's got the multifunction steering wheel, which does work very well. Changing gears, the sport design steering wheel is a little bit better with the full-size paddles, but you do get used to this system of each side having a forward and up and down gear change, and you can still put it into manual. Just love it. Love these cars. They all have their place, and they all should sit proudly next to each other when you park up at a Porsche club meet or just with some friends. It will still draw eyes, the Carrera S or a Carrera 3.4 Carrera as well. The whole range is so well thought out and put together and designed that I think they are future classics. I'm now going to jump into the 991 Turbo S and compare how that drives and how it feels compared to this lovely Carrera S. Okay, I'm now in the 911 Turbo S, the flagship road going 911 of the era, and the feeling is remarkably similar in how it drives before the turbos spool up, because it has got 3.8 litre flat six, just like the Carrera S, and it probably does develop very similar power without the turbos spooling up as the S, the Carrera S, not the Turbo S. And how it rides on the road is very similar, but you do feel that there is more going on in the chassis as soon as you go around a corner, because it does have that rear wheel steering, it does have that PDCC, which when you enable makes it corner extremely flat. It's almost like it's got magical powers at how it can handle with PDCC enabled. Again, that was something you could spec on a Carrera F, so there are Carrera S's out there with PDCC, but it's just otherworldly how that makes a car perform. So you could say, well, you're going to be spending extra on a Turbo S, but not only do you get that extra 911 turbo branding value, which does have historically, classic 911 turbos are worth more than the non-turbos in general terms. There are a few exceptions, but as soon as you feel that power, you do get that high level equipment, is what I'm trying to say, but also you also get the fact that people know that a 911 turbo is slightly different, even though it is based on the same car. In terms of the cabin, as I said while I was driving the Carrera S, it does feel very similar in terms of how it's all put together, but with these cars having a higher spec level in general, I mean, it just speeds up so fast. It's actually, in some ways, it's probably too fast for the road, in how quickly it picks up speed and how little you feel of the car being out of control. It just feels like you're well within its stride when you're driving it fast. And that's the danger, is you get comfortable driving at speeds that are way too high for the road. And yeah, some people will find the Carrera S more rewarding because you can use more of the power on the road. But if you've driven a Carrera S, you'll be very familiar with how everything is laid out in the Turbo S, how everything feels, how everything functions. It's just those little cues, the Turbo S on the dial, that sort of like dash dial for the rev counter is a different design in terms of how it looks. You've got the different shaped mirrors, and obviously the bigger, wider hips on this car compared to the S Carrera. But you can feel the link, the lineage, the relationship between the two. I mean, it is, as I said, probably about 80% of the car is the same in terms of the components, and that is great testament to what Porsche can do. Is with the same parts they can make two very different cars, and also make them feel like high quality products in their own right. So as I said, don't feel like you're buying an inferior product when you buy a Carrera or Carrera S versus something like this, a Turbo S, because a lot of the sort of feel is the same. It's obviously the performance is otherworldly in this car, but it is still exceptional in the 991, either the 3.4 or the 3.8 that I've been showing you, the sapphire blue car. They are both great power units. They're great handling cars. They all work in the same way. So as I said, you can move between the different models, and also between the different body styles, because obviously there's a coupe, as I've shown you, there's the convertible, there's also the Targa models as well. So you can move between them and have a slightly different experience in each of them. And that's what you'll see is that there'll be some people who want to try a coupe, then they want to try the cab, and they may not even move generations. They might just move between, say, 997 Gen 2s, all the different models there, or just the 991s like this one. They might move between the different model 991s. But I think they're all fantastic cars. They all have their own place, and yeah, in summary, buy what 911 you can afford, and buy a good example, and you will have a great time with it, and it will be something you will cherish and enjoy driving. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching.